Now, farmers will stage another round of protests in Westminster today, rallying against changes to inheritance tax rules. Sky correspondent Dan Whitehead joins me now from Manor Farm and talk us through the latest on what we're expecting today, because we've seen some of these protests already. Is it more of the same, or is there a new aspect to it?
Well, there's a petition which started last year against these reforms to inheritance tax. That's received around 150,000 signatories against it. Went over the 100,000 threshold, so it's going to be debated in Parliament at 4:30 this afternoon. And to coincide with that debate in Westminster, you're going to see thousands of farmers, hundreds of tractors, again descending onto Whitehall and outside Downing Street. Let's chat to the organiser of today's protest, Liz Webster from Save British Farming. Thanks for letting us come down on your farm before we all head to London. Look, the government has told Sky News yet again that they are steadfast in support of farmers, but that this reform to inheritance tax is balanced and fair. They're not budging. I mean, are these protests having any impact or working at all, do you think?
Look, protests or rallying or campaigning, and we're communicating with the country because we want the country to understand what it means for them if we lose our farms. And that's what we're doing. So we're telling a story. And so every time we come out, we're communicating to the public. And we want the public to email their MPs, particularly if they're Labour MPs, because whether you live in the city or in the countryside, you rely on a farmer for food. And if the government continue with these policies, we will really be in trouble for food.
The big change coming in April 26 is that for farms over £1 million, you're going to look at 20% inheritance tax. That's a big change for farmers, and the fear is that it will put a lot of small farms out of business. There's some rumours that there could be an increase in that threshold, let's say, to £10 million. Would you welcome a change like that?
That would be a lot more comfortable. But if you look at it from a food security point of view, we're all not making enough money to really make a proper wage. So the very big farms actually are still in whilst they might have a lot of asset value, there still isn't enough money in there to pay huge inheritance tax bills. And what it means is that our food system will collapse and we won't have enough food. And that is what people need to think about. Rather than individual farmers, this is about a food system that we all rely on. And if you remember in COVID, we all came out clapping for farmers because we need food. And, that's what this government don't seem to recognise. And we're trying to communicate to them, if we don't have enough food in this country, there will be major problems.
You're heavily involved, and I know behind the scenes there are negotiations with the NFU, with government, with influential farming groups like yourselves. Are you confident, or do you feel that there's going to be any shift at all from the Labour government?
I really hope so, because the inheritance tax itself, if it continues to next April, is going to cause a humanitarian crisis. Many elderly farmers know that they can save their family farm by not being alive after that deadline. And that is a really, really heartbreaking and terrifying reality. And that's why so many farmers are exercised, because we want to look after our farming families. We are a community.
Nigel Farage is speaking at a farm up in North London. It's one of the muster points for farmers all heading from around the country down to London. Is he a good advocate for this cause of farming?
Nigel loves to be he wants to feel part of our tribe. But Nigel loves America, and he puts Trump first. Now, if we put Trump first and America first and do a deal with them, British farming will not survive an America trade deal. They say America first for a reason. The quantities of scale, they are very aggressive exporters. There is no hope for British farming if we have an American trade deal. So if Nige wants to come in with us, he needs to drop his desire to do a trade deal with America. And I can't see any sign of that happening.
Okay, Liz, thanks for chatting to us. Nigel Farage, we've got a Sky News camera up there. We expect him on a tank this morning. Watch out for those pictures. Hundreds of tractors arriving into Westminster from 1 o'clock. The debate in Parliament starts at 4:30.